from a core to advanced level. Core to advanced level, which you're going to discuss. Once you are done, right, we are going to discuss React.js. That is in a high level. Okay, so that is in a high level what we're going to discuss. Okay, so course duration is a 2 months, and which we already started. Okay, and once we actual classes got started, right, from the date you can consider, and along with that, right, the course fees is 8,000. Okay, so these are the links which I'm going to share in our, in our chat. Please register yourself, and as well as, if you have any questions, reach out to our admin team. Okay, so there is a WhatsApp link. So that's a WhatsApp group. You can join in that to get the latest update and course content, all the stuff, right? You can get it over there. Okay, guys, this is more of an interactive session. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Okay, and if you have any general questions at the end of a course, you can ask me. Okay, cool. So, this is the course content what we're going to discuss as part of the session. You see, so we will discuss HTML, CSS, as well as we'll discuss the JavaScript. Okay, the important concepts, okay, as well as advanced concept. Advanced concept nothing but, so when we start the JavaScript, right, we need to understand what is JavaScript, how it works, how it, internally helps, all the stuff, right, we need to discuss. Okay, so in that way we'll discuss. I'll share this one, so join in that WhatsApp group, so it will help you. Okay, whenever we missed it also, or whenever we, deviated also, you can help us. Okay, fine. So, we're going to understand what is the JavaScript and what is the JavaScript runs. Okay, how it works. Let's say you have a many of a browsers, Chrome, Edge, okay, Mozilla, how this works. And you might heard about, cross browser compatibility. Anyone heard about cross browser compatibility in your working life? Cool. So please respond if you have any questions, or if you feel some deviations also, you can respond to me. Okay, let's make this session is more interactive. Cool. In our real time, right? So we might hear about, or we might working on it, right? So we see a cross browser compatibility. What is cross browser compatibility? What is cross browser compatibility? So that means, let's say, in a market, right, how many of browsers we have, how many browsers you used to use? Anyone?
Chrome, Mozilla, Firefox,
Chrome, Mozilla, okay,
Mozilla,
Firefox, and
Mozilla
other
Firefox,
same. Okay,
I,
IE is now removed and Edge is in a
Edge,
market.
yeah.
Okay, and so Brave is also one of a browser, Opera also one of a browser. Okay, Safari is also one of a browser. Okay, what is importance of a browser as a web developer? Anyone? What is importance when you are a web developer or a front-end developer or full stack developer? What is importance of web developer, our browser? So by the end, whatever we develop, right? So we are going to use, our browser only. Okay, let's say if I write some HTML code, if I write some JavaScript code, everything which I'm going to test it on my browser, because my browser is a platform to run my code. Okay, now, so whenever we run our application, or whenever we develop an application, that application need to be compatible for all these browsers, at least top three, at least top three. Okay, so that means it has, top three browsers at present of a market, right? Chrome, Mozilla, and Safari. Okay, now there is a debate between Edge and Safari. Okay, so these two, right, which you use to compete, okay, for a third position. Okay, but top three browsers at present of a market, right? Chrome, Mozilla, and Safari. Okay, so when we run an application, the application look and feel, okay, along with that functionality is supposed to be, work fine in all three browsers. Okay, why it need to be compatible? Because let's say I'm a friendly browser with a Chrome. Others people who use the Mac, right, they mostly go with the Safari. In that case, if our application is not compatible to the Safari, I'm going to miss the, so Mac users, or I'm going to miss the Safari users. Okay, then I'm not going to get a benefited with the Safari users. That's the reason, right? So whatever application which we developed it, that need to be compatible for all the top three browsers. Okay, so but here you might get a question. So Venkat, so why these three browsers are different? Okay, so let's say everything is working fine. We don't need to test it in all the three different browsers, right? So the reason it is, so your browsers are developed, are internally it will maintain different engines. Okay, so when it comes to Chrome internally use the V8 engine to run your code. Okay, when you go with Edge, it uses Chakra engine. Okay, the engine name is called Chakra. So that's what makes a difference to run your code. Okay, so that is what we're gonna discuss in our session. That means in depth of a JavaScript, how it works. Okay, what are the engines and what is the problems, and whenever we run an application, so where it will get stored. Those what we're gonna discuss in a current session. Okay, our current batch. Got it? So in the sense, we're gonna discuss core JavaScript to advanced JavaScript and the detailed concepts of a JavaScript. So why we need to discuss all this stuff? Because very simple, guys. Okay, so when you're writing a React.js code, React.js is what a virtual DOM developer library or virtual DOM as a concept in a React.js, which will help you to make your application is much faster. Okay, when you write your code, you need to write a code which is in a better way with optimized version so that you can run your application in much faster. Okay, let's say as I said, okay, React.js is followed virtual DOM, you can write anything what you want. No, that's not a good practice. So when you go for a product based companies, the quality of a code matters, because nowadays we have a lot of AI tools. Those will help you to write any of a code. Okay, you can ask. Okay, you will get it. That's simple. There is a one extension called GitHub Copilot, so that will help you. If you write in English, you will get the ready-made code respective language whatever you ask. So then what is the difference between you and the AI? So AI will give a pseudocode, but you need to write optimized code as per your requirement. Okay, so that is the reason, right? We're gonna discuss in detail of a JavaScript. Okay, then we'll move on to React.js. Understood, guys? So that's the reason, right? We'll discuss object-oriented programming, we'll discuss functional programming, we'll discuss asynchronous programming. What is asynchronous programming? Okay, those all the stuff we can discuss. Then we'll move on to React.js. Okay, any questions so far? Feel free, if you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, let's make this session is more interactive.
Before Node.js came, we
Mhm.
had run the JavaScript to the directly on the browser. But after
Okay,
Node.js came, we run this one on the Node.js only, na, sir?
okay. I'll give some glimpse about what is Node.js. Okay, so that you can answer. Okay, so before Node.js or after Node.js, very simple, guys. So basically, right, JavaScript is what? A scripting programming language. Okay, so scripting client-side programming language, guys. Okay, what is that? Client-side programming language. What does mean of a client-side programming language? That means you can able to run only on a browser, especially from a user point of view, not from a server point of view. What is different between user side and server side? When it is a programming language which can't do any read and write operations, or which cannot connect to the database, or which cannot do anything on a server, nothing but we have a different server, Apache, Tom, WebLogic, okay, or Nginx. Okay, different servers are there. So that means this JavaScript is not going to run on a servers. It's going to run on only on a browser, especially on a user side. That is what meant it as JavaScript in a high level. Okay, not going to discuss technically, but what is the purpose of a JavaScript, or what can JavaScript can do? That is what meaning of what JavaScript. But when you learn the JavaScript, you are comfortable with the JavaScript, you're unable to do a server-side programming. For a server-side programming, again you need to learn different language. Can be Java, can be .NET, can be Python, and different stuff. So then there is a one more platform, okay, which is introduced. That is what? Node.js. That is what? Node.js. So in a JavaScript, right, we have what majorly three concepts. One is the programming. Okay, another one, what? Object-oriented programming. Another one is a document object model. Okay, now what is this programming? It's a kind of a loops, functions, all the stuff. What is the OOPS, object oriented programming? So we'll discuss, guys. If you're not familiar with these words, no problem at all. As someone asked the questions, right? I'm just giving you some glimpse. Okay, what is Node.js and what is, how it works. But don't worry about it if you're not familiar with these words also. No issues. We will discuss in detail. Okay, in our session, we started from a HTML, then we'll move on slowly. Okay, right. So when you go with the JavaScript, right, these three concepts were there, especially document object model. What is document object model? When you go to the browser, you have a click option where you have a, close option, all the stuff, or resize options, all the stuff. So that is not going to there in a Node.js, because Node.js, which is runs on a server, nothing but there is no browser, right? Okay, so that means there is no point of you having the resize or drag and drop or click, nothing, because it's going to run on a server. Understood? In short, if you want to do a server-side programming, then you can go with the Node.js. Okay, so which will help you to connect to the database and write a REST APIs. Okay, and do a read and write operation. Before Node.js, there is no possible to write a server-side programming. After Node.js, there is a possible to write a server-side programming. Does it clear your question, Tushar?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So feel free, if you have any questions, you can ask me. We'll discuss on it. Cool. Fine. So that's the agenda of a course, guys. So we're going to discuss, in detail of JavaScript, and then we'll get started. Okay. Our React.js. Okay. Uh, Fine. I think most of the people are aware on me. So I'm into the IT from the last 12 years. I used to work on all the UI technologies. Okay, so as a working employee, especially in a product-based company, right, I'm going to discuss the quality of a code and how it is going to be important. Okay, so whatever the code which you write it, I used to review the pull request and design architecture, everything we're gonna discuss in our current session, right? We're going to discuss everything with a project basis. Okay, cool. So the prerequisites to learn React.js, right? So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the tools which is required: VS Code, Node.js, and Git. Okay, so what are the concepts we're going to discuss? These are the high level concept which I mentioned this PPT. Okay, but so anyhow, you'll get this, course content. Whatever there in a course content, we're going to discuss. Not only this, so being it is right. So interactive course. If you have any other points to be discussed, we will discuss. Okay, so but feel free to ask me if you have any question, and let's make this session is more interactive. Fine. In our session, right, we're going to discuss core JavaScript to advanced JavaScript as well as the TypeScript. Okay. So what is TypeScript? Anyone? What is TypeScript? Our regular candidates, we were discussed on it. Okay, cool. So TypeScript is a superset of a JavaScript, as someone said earlier. Okay, so as well as, right, so TypeScript going to contain types, majorly types. Okay, what is that? How it going to help? So the most of the project which are going to started now, especially with the React, right, so they are going to use what? TypeScript. Okay, what is TypeScript? What is importance of a TypeScript? That is also we're going to see. Okay, so as well as, so especially when we are targeting for a real-time projects, right, we should aware on what? GitHub. What is GitHub? Okay, so it's a version control system which will maintain the history, as well as it's easy to share the code from one page to, or one person to another person. How it going to help? That is also we're going to see. Okay, so we're going to learn which version, guys? React 18. Okay, we will start from a React 16. What are the advantages? Because the major changes were introduced in React 16. So that's the reason we will discuss from a React 16 and as well as the latest features of a React 18. In our session, we're going to see what is our projects with a Material UI and Bootstrap, because both are them are widely used at present. So that's the reason we will discuss both of them. So we're going to develop a single page applications. Okay, so by using this React, so by using which concept, guys? React router. Okay, we're going to discuss Redux. Okay, one of a state management tool, and as well as we're going to discuss unit testing by using React testing tools and Jest. Okay, once we are done, we're supposed to deploy our application. How are we going to deploy? So one way is that, right, you can share your build files. Another way, you can make a Dockerize. What is your Docker and how it going to help? That is also we're going to discuss. Okay, especially for current batch, right? So I'm going to discuss Next.js and some sessions with the Node.js. What is Node.js? How it works? That is also I'm going to discuss. Cool. And our batch should be more of an interactive session. It's a 2 months of a course. Monday to Friday we're gonna discuss. Okay, so the same time 7:30 to 8:30. Saturday is going to be recap session. What does mean of a recap session? So Monday to Friday, whatever we discuss, right? So we might discuss one use case. Later on a Saturday, we're gonna discuss different use cases, how we can use the whatever topics we're gonna discuss. As it is a real-time project, okay, as a real-time expert which I'm, right, so everything is purely related to what project, okay, how it works and what is we're going to use it. An interview point of view, what are the questions we used to ask, all the stuff we're going to discuss. And Sunday, it's a purely project, guys. So it could be a project or it could be a project workshop. Okay, that's how we're going to discuss. Clear? Clear on a course wise? Any questions, the new ones?
Hello, sir.
Yes, Nitin, tell me.
Sir, can we can learn TypeScript also for learning React.js?
Yes. So as part of our session, right, we will start from a HTML to CSS, and then once we are done with the JavaScript, we're going to discuss TypeScript also. Okay. Our projects, whatever we're going to develop, those all with the TypeScript only. Okay, so any other questions, guys? But remember, so once you are done this session, you can manage 1 to 2 years of experience of a React developer. Okay, that's for sure. So if you're looking for more than that, right, I required also to do a more practice. If you do more practice, right, then you would be much have a benefited. Yes, Saga, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask me. Yes, Chandrasekhar, do you have any questions?
Yeah, hi, good morning. Actually, previously I have worked with the JavaScript, but I would like to upgrade to React JS.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 years before, I got some little bit training for the React JS, but till now I could not get a chance to work on it. But I want to improve myself in React JS for 1 or 2 years experience.
Mm-hmm.
How what are the things I need to upgrade because previously only I have done those things, but I want to learn in detail in the top level also.
Yep, yep. So that's what we're gonna do, Chandrasekhar, in our session. Okay. So everything is purely project basis. So by the end of the session, right, you will get a knowledge how to do a React application. So in our session, right, I'll show you now. We used to develop purely on a project basis.
Here we are using with the Visual Studio Code or
We're going to use Visual Studio Code. Okay, so being a front-end developer, right, most of the times we used to go with the Visual Studio Code. So couple of people, right, so if they are from a background of a Visual, sorry, .NET or VS, sorry, Java, right, they used Eclipse.
it's,
Okay, so in our session is purely is real time. Okay, I'll show you a couple of stuff what we did.
actually this is the first session for me.
Yeah, so that's the reason I'm repeating whatever the concept which we're gonna plan. So if you have any questions, right, feel free to ask me. We can discuss on it.
And how many days for it will take the session? Totally the
React
course
is a 30 hours.
30 hours.
Yes,
Is it totally free of cost or whatever?
it's a totally.
Is it expensive or like a price or free of cost?
It's a paid session. It's a paid session for a total session, right? It's 8,000. So which includes the live classes, okay, as well as the video availability for 1 year.
This is only for React only, or else you will give the some videos or something like JavaScript and jQuery and Node.js.
Okay, see, we're gonna discuss HTML to React JS. Okay, so in that, right, we're gonna discuss JavaScript and the TypeScript and advanced JavaScript. So everything we're gonna discuss.
Okay. Is there in previous videos for this related to if I can pay the money?
You can talk to our admin team. They might help you on it. Probably it won't be, but you can ask them.
Why? Because I have already taken with the Docker, Kubernetes, and the Jenkins for the payment of that, and I would like to get a previous session for that also. That's why if I
You
can
can
join.
talk to admin team. They can help you.
Thank you.
Yep. So I see one question from a Saga saying that mentioned like HTTP calls and integration at the backend. I want to know if that will be covered. Yes. Okay. We're gonna discuss, you know, the integration. So whenever we are done with the React.js, right? So we need to integrate with the actual endpoints. I'll show you one of the thing. Okay. Now you see, right? Okay. Add to cart. So these products which are dynamically called from a API, not from a, the static data. Okay, this is one of existing project, guys. I'll refresh now. In a network, you can see the network call. You see, this is the one product API, which we call an integrated. Okay, that's how we're gonna discuss. It's purely everything is into real time. Okay, so we integrated the Redux also. When you click on, you see you got a toaster. Okay, so when you go to toaster, that means it has this product is added into cart. Now you can see a cart icon, and you can see whatever product which you add into cart. Okay. Cool. And this is one of a project, so which we implemented in our session. It's a single page application. You can see the
Gently
folder
in React,
architecture. Yes, tell me.
in React, what are the topics we are going to discuss?
Yeah. So please join in that WhatsApp group. In a WhatsApp group, right, I'll share the course content. Okay, but in a high level, right? So this is what we're gonna discuss. Okay, you see. So we're gonna discuss what is React and what is virtual DOM. I will show you, so what is virtual DOM and how it works also. Before virtual DOM, what is the problem? After virtual DOM, what is the problem? That is also we're gonna see. Okay. Once we are done, right, we're gonna discuss states and props. How do you communicate from one component to another component? So that is also we're gonna discuss. So and we'll see limitations of props drill down. Okay, so then what is the alternative? Then we go for Redux. What is Redux? Being it is state management, right? How it works. That is also we're gonna see. And in a React 16, right? So there is a new concept called React hooks. What are these hooks? Okay, what is advantage of this? Earlier we have a class-based component. Now these hooks are helping to move into functional component. What is advantage of going with a functional component? In that way also we're gonna discuss. Once you're done this some part of a React.js, right? So then we're gonna start, you know, React routing, nothing but how to build a single page application. As part of discussing a single page application, right? We developed this project in our session. Okay, if you see, so it's kind of a resume how you have a paper one. So in short, so it's contain a whole information about you. It's a home of you and about us. Okay, nothing but what's your name and what's your contact details or social media details, and your list of skills. Okay, and nested routing, list of a project. Just it is a project, right? We just use the dummy projects and contact us. So this is how we're gonna discuss. Okay, as well as right, once we are done with the routing, we're gonna discuss, sorry, as part of a routing itself, right? We're gonna use the bootstrap and material web. Both of them we can use. Okay, so one for one project, another one is for different project. In that way we can work. So once we are done, then we'll go for actual APIs. Okay, actually API nothing but it could be a Node.js API, Spring Boot API, because so some guys might expect to integrate end to end so that they'll become a full stack developer. How to do that, that is also we're going to discuss. Okay, so as I usually take an interview, no, so I'll give us some interview tips also how to crack, and as well as what are the frequent interview questions on a React.js. In that way we're gonna discuss. Any questions?
The projects we are going to build on React hooks only, right?
Yes, it's
Latest.
purely on a React hooks and a TypeScript.
Okay, sure.
Okay, or if you want to develop on a JavaScript, right, I'm fine. So being it is interactive session, right, based on your inputs I can go.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, considering as no. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free. Okay, we will discuss. Okay, so these are the WhatsApp link, guys. Okay, please join in that WhatsApp group. So to get a okay latest content and any updates of us, right, you can get to know over there. Okay, let's get started. So whatever we plan for our current session, that we can get started. Cool. So what we are discussing, guys, so we are discussing about what? HTML. Just a second. Right, so what we are discussing, guys, we are discussing about HTML. Okay, so what we discussed in last session, anyone?
Folder creation.
Yep.
How to
Okay. So we just discussed about, okay, some brief about HTML. What is HTML? How it works? Okay. So that is what we're going to discuss. Okay. Right. This is some brief notes what we written now. No, in the last session. What is HTML, guys? Hypertext markup language. Okay. Why we use HTML? To develop a websites or web application. Anyone? What is the difference between web application and website? Anyone?
websites are static
Mm-hmm.
and web development are dynamic websites.
Yes, dynamic application. That meant it as, so in short, you can say, so if you have any website which contains the login option, based on a login, it will respond to you in a different way. Nothing but let's say Flipkart. Flipkart is a web application because you log in, you'll add to product. Okay, you will check out all the stuff which is there, right? Those what we call it as web application. Let's say whatever we developed in our session, that we developed in a single page application. Okay, it's just a kind of a plain pages. Okay, so where you can go to the pages and see the information, where you can't log in and do a checkout kind of a stuff. Okay, this is what we call it as website. Okay, now by using HTML and CSS, what we can do, we can build websites and web applications both. Okay, so what we're going to discuss in HTML, right, one of the world easiest language, which contains the primarily what? Tags. Okay, which contains primarily what? Tags. What are those tags? We have a lot of stuff, okay, to discuss, especially on tags, but we just need to remember the list of a tags and the functionality of a tag. One tag will differ, works in a different way. So what is difference and how it works, right? That is what we're going to discuss. Let's say H1 is a heading one. Paragraph. Okay, to display paragraph, table kind of a structure, if you would like to show, then go ahead with a table tag. Okay, this kind of attacks we're gonna discuss. And CSS, what is CSS? Cascading style sheet. What is importance of a CSS in our web pages? Very simple, to apply styles we're gonna use the CSS. What we're gonna discuss as part of a CSS is purely properties. Let's say if you would like to apply font size, if you like to apply the border, so this properties is going to help us to make a better styling for our structure, better styling for our structure. Clear? This is some brief about what? HTML, CSS. Okay, anybody heard about HTML5 CSS3? What is the advantage of this HTML5 CSS3? Anyone?
Mobile friendly application.
Yes. Okay, so yes, please make a response, guys. Okay, let's make this session is more interactive, being it is online, right? So you guys contribution and as well as response is much important, so that you won't miss the track and you won't get a deviated. Okay, so please follow, if you have a notes, please write it, and as well as whenever I ask the question, respond it so that you won't get deviated. Okay, cool. Right. So as Dushar said, right, so we're gonna develop a mobile friendly as well as high scalable applications, as I said in the last session. So earlier, to use the YouTube, right, we used to go with the Adobe Flex. Now we are not required, because in HTML5 video tag was introduced, that is going to help a lot, to play live stream kind of applications or quality of a video. Those all the stuff we're gonna play with HTML5 video tag. So not only that, in HTML5 there is a local storage, okay, WebAssembly. index DB in your browser. All the stuff will make you to make a larger applications. Cool. So as well as right in the last session, we discussed a folder structure. So what is a folder structure of a website? So that is what we discussed. Okay, so guys, please install VS Code. Okay, so in our next continuous session, right, we're going to use the VS Code. So how you install the VS Code? You can go to the browser and search VS Code. Okay, if you search for the VS Code, right, you'll navigate to the VS Code website. Okay, and just install. It's a free version, guys. You just need to install. Okay, once you install, right, so let's say you have the folder like this. What you can do, if you would like to open VS Code in a particular project, okay, then select that path, type a CMD, type CMD, then what will happen, right? Your command prompt will open from that particular path, you see. Okay, now as I selected this and typed a CMD, this is what happened. Okay, my command prompt opened from this particular path. So then if I do a code dot, then what will happen? VS Code will open so from my project folder structure, okay, or from the path whatever I entered from a command prompt. Okay, that is what will happen. Once you install the VS Code, right, then only it will work. Okay, let's say if you type a code, what will happen? It will open the VS Code not from your folder structure. It will open the VS Code not from the folder structure, you see. Okay, that's the reason, right? You need to use the code dot. Cool. Okay, so this is the folder structure what we discussed. This is what we're going to use in a real time. Okay, everything whatever we're going to discuss, it's a purely real time, guys. Okay, so so that's the reason, right? So real time use cases only will get covered. Cool. So now you see we created a folder called our project called e-commerce. Inside e-commerce, we created a CSS, fonts, images, and JS. Okay, and we created a files called index.html and about.html. What is purpose of index.html? Because when you deploy this code into server, this code into server, what will happen? The first file what is going to be get redirected is what index.html. If you would like to specifically call a particular page, then you need to mention the page, but by default your server will navigate to what? Index. Okay, that's the reason first file supposed to be index.html. Okay, what is extension of HTML? So let's say if you would like to write a HTML code, you for sure need to save it as .html. Let's say if you would like to write a .css, or what is meaning of .css, guys? So it's a styling file or cascading file. Let's say if you would like to write a JavaScript, then I need to mention as .js. Okay, in these are the extension which indicates the what is the programming language which you're going to write. Okay, understood? So this is some brief about what the extension. What we're going to do, guys? So in a React also, right, we're going to save it as .jsx. Okay, or we're going to save it as .tsx. When we enter into the React and the TypeScript, right, we will discuss all of this stuff. But extension is important, which indicates the what programming language you're writing in that particular file. Understood? Now we are writing a HTML, right? That's the reason we save it as .html. Okay, in HTML, right, as per the HTML standards, there is a primarily two sections. One is head section, another one is a body section. Head section going to contain some detailing about your website, which can contain the meta tags. What is that? Meta tags. What is this meta tags? Okay, let me ask you a simple question. Now whenever you search something, right, or let's say I went to the Google. Okay, I searched as Ashok IT. Now, so Ashok IT is getting short in a first result. How it will get to know? Anyone? Anyone got an idea? So, or anyone has an answer?
Because
Tell
of
me.
meta tag only.
Because of meta tags, because your website can contain a lot of stuff. Your website can contain the lot of stuff, but so in meta tags, right, will give us some brief about your website, so that the search engines, especially kind of a Google or Bing, okay, or Yahoo, right, those what will crawl your meta tags based on the meta tags whatever which is mentioned over there. Okay, it will show you the website in a search results. It can be Google or it can be Yahoo. Okay, but meta tags are important. Understood? Those kind of information where we used to write in head section. Okay, meta tags, favy icon, or the title. Okay, what does mean of a title? If you see on any of website, right? You see, if I hold it on, you see Visual Studio Code, okay, editing. And if I hold it on, I got the React tab. So this is what we call it as a title. And you see here the one icon. This is called favor icon, nothing but favorite icon. Okay, those all the stuff we're gonna mention in head section. In a body section, what we're going to discuss or what we're going to add, whatever which you want to, render it on a web page. Okay, those what we're gonna write it in a body. Okay, so for now, what we written, just welcome to React.js course by Venkat CH. Okay, in a heading tag, in a heading one. Now if you want to run this one, how you run? See, when you save it as .html, by default it will show you a browser icon. That means it will run on a browser. It will run on a browser. Very simple. Okay, so fine. So we got this h1 and it's a big font size. Let's say if you would like to reduce the font size, okay, it depends on you. Let's say you can use the h2 also, which indicates heading 2. Save it, go and refresh. You see, the font size comparing to this one and this one is very less. Okay, let's say I can use the h3 also, heading 3. Now go to the browser, refresh. You see, the font is getting reduced. So from a h1 to h3, you see the difference is what? Font size is getting reduced. Similar way, up to how many we have? Anyone? Up
Yes,
to how
6.
many?
Yes,
Okay, yes,
6.
yes. Heading 5 up to h6.
Sir, examples of meta tags.
Examples of meta tags, right? We'll write it like this: meta, okay, keywords also we'll write. I'll show you the list of the meta tags. Okay, which will contain, who is the author of it, what are the keywords. Okay, so all the links, right, it's going to contain, you see, keywords, description, subject, everything with the meta tags only, but this name going to be changed. Okay, what with the use of this one, right? Your search engine will read it, especially keywords. Okay, if someone search the top institute in Amirpet, then if I would like to populate my website, I need to write that, keywords in this. Okay, top institute in Amirpet, top institute in Hyderabad, top institute in India. So those keywords, if I write it here, no, then my search engine will read this, and if someone search with those words, then my website going to be listed in a search results.
What is that first one, sir? Meta. Yes.
This one, character of UTF. So so when you write any of a stuff in a HTML or any of a language, that need to be defined under one UTF-8. So that means it need to be understandable to your processor. So then we will specify that, okay, this is the character set which I'm going to use. Okay, so this is what this character set UTF-8 comes to one standard format. These are the characters or these are the language which I'm going to use. We're going to specify over here. So when you go with the HTML5, you don't need to tell, because by default it will take character set UTF-8 only. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So these are the list of meta tags, guys. So which we use in a in our head section. Cool. So fine. So we just discussed about headings tags. So if you see the headings, right, if you go and you refresh the browser, you see the font size getting reduced. Okay, cool. So let's say if you would like to display image, how can I display? I can use the image src. I can tell the path. Where can I store the images, guys? As per the folder structure,
Images folder.
images folder. So let's take any image. Okay, let's take this logo. Open a new tab, saving it. Where I need to save? I need to save it in images folder. We define this architecture, right, or the folder structure. So that's the reason we need to save it over there. Okay, now what I can do, so in my src I need to point to the images path. So I need to tell my src what is the path of an image. What is the path of the image? I need to tell like this. So img is nothing but image tag, src path of the image you need to tell. Okay, now just go to the browser and refresh. You see, we got the image. In this way we can show you the image. Okay, by using a react or by using a javascript, right, what we can do, we can make this is a more dynamic. Okay, what does mean? Let's say if you like to display 1,000 images, do you need to write like this? Okay, and in 1,000 use cases the image would get default. Okay, in that case if I go with a plain html and css, this images I need to get it hard coded. Okay, so that means based on a api response that is not going to render over here. So I need to get all of them and I need to hard code it. That is not a dynamic website. So that's the reason, right, this react.js and javascript were introduced. Okay, this react.js and javascript were introduced. With the help of this react and javascript, right, you can make it a dynamic structure of your html. Hence your application would be dynamic and interactive. That means, let's say if you go to the Flipkart, right, okay, you see you have a lot of images. So in a Flipkart, right, these people are not constantly or not use the absolute path. They'll use the dynamic data from an api. They'll use the dynamic data from api with the help of what, react.js. Okay, Flipkart is one of application which is developed on react.js. Okay, in our session also we are going to do it in that way only. Okay, so clear? Any questions so far, guys?
No, sir.
Cool, good. So far what we discussed, heading we were discussed, and we discussed about image. Let's say I'd like to display table data. Okay, what is meaning of a table, guys? What is the definition of a table? Table is a collection of
Element.
Rows and columns.
Data.
rows and columns. Okay, so similar way, guys. So even in a html structure also, table tag going to contain rows and columns. Rows and columns. Okay, so table tag trtd. Okay, tr meant it as table row. Okay, td nothing but table data. Okay, td nothing but table data. Here we're going to write. Okay, so whatever html you want to write or whatever heading you want to write, you can. Let's say sno, student number. Another column. Okay, student name. Okay, this is one. Next row, I'm going to display table data. Okay, one. Student number is 1. Student data, nothing but Venkat. Okay, let's say I'd like to show one more row. Then again I need to use the one more tr, one more td. This time I would like to go with a Tushar. Done. I just save it, go to my browser, refresh. So every time refreshing is getting harder, right? Yes or no? We'll write it and go to the browser and refresh. Is getting okay or getting harder as a developer?
Harder.
Okay, so that's the reason, right? So when we go with the react, okay, we use the void or cra, create application, create react application. Those what internally built a mechanism called webpack. By using that webpack, right, so you can build an application which automatically refresh. That means you just save it. Okay, you just save it here, writing some change. Okay, automatically if you come to the browser, right, you will see the change is ready. You don't need to manually refresh. That is what also we're gonna discuss with the help of CRA, create react application, or we can go with a white also. Okay, anyone has an knowledge on a webpack?
No, sir.
No problem. So we'll discuss. So what is a webpack? What is alternative for webpack also? We're gonna discuss. Okay, fine. So far what we did, we discussed about heading and images and table. So you see the table, right? So looks like it is not a table, it's just showing a data. Okay, when it is a table, right, it's supposed to have some borders. right? So for that, in a HTML, we have an attribute called border. We have attribute called border. You can mention as border. Now you see, we got a border. Okay, we got a border. Let's say I would like to, make it a full screen. Okay, then you can tell, okay, width equal to, okay, 200 pixel. In that way, you can give a size also. Or width equal to 300 or 400. That's up to you. Based on that, what will happen? The size of a table going to be increased. The size of a table going to be increased. Okay, understood? Any questions on a table?
No, sir.
Okay, good. So we discussed about heading tags, image tag, table tag. So far, good. Now, one simple question. Okay, so let's imagine if you would like to build a website. Okay, now by looking into this, can we say is it looks like a table or not? Let me, draw it a diagram. You will get to know. Now, does it looks like a table or not? One table, one row with how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes or no, guys? So this is also looks like a one row with how many columns?
Three.
3 columns. 1, 2, 3. Okay, similar way. So that means we can develop a website completely with a table. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So anyone has other points? Yep. So previously, right, guys, to design a website, right, we used to go with a table only. Okay, we used to go with a table only. So I meant it as yes, previously, but what about now? Okay, so we are not going to use the tables. Then what is the alternative? And why we are not using a tables? Okay, so this is how we're gonna discuss, guys. So we'll discuss a concept as well as we will discuss the advantage of a table or advantage of whatever the use case we're gonna discuss and the limitations of it and what is alternative of it. That is how we're gonna discuss in our session. Okay, now we discussed about table. Looks like by using a table we can design a website, but that is the old approach. What about now? Okay, now we're going to use a div tag only. Okay, what is a div tag? We will discuss. But what are the problems with the table? That part we'll see. Then we'll move into div tag. Okay, so first of all, so what is responsive web design? Anyone have an idea? What is responsive web design?
which gives same look and view experience in both mobile and desktop.
Yes. Okay. So both as well as the better view. Now, guys, tell me. So in a desktop, I'm able to show 8 in a row or 7 in a row. Nothing but in a one row, I'm showing us 7 products in a one row. That's fine. What about mobile? If I'm able to see 8 products in a one row, will it be good or not good? You got my question? My question is, in a desktop, if I'm able to show 8 products, okay, in a one row, this is fine because being it as a big screen, this is looks good to me. But when it comes to mobile, you'll see a very small screen. So in that case, if I show 8 in a one row, so then the product styles or products images would be lesser or small, larger size.
Lesser.
Less
Less size. Okay, in that case what we need to do, we need to show the products. Okay, either it is one by one because the sizes matters, right? So I need to see the images properly. Getting? So let's see the mobile version of this one. Okay, do you see how these guys made it? They're not showing all the 8 products, they're showing only 3 products. Okay, so if you would like to do this kind of a stuff in a tables which is very hard. Okay, because in a tables, right, so every time in a desktop you will make a one row with a 8 columns, When it comes to mobiles, you can't change the, so I would like to show only 4 columns. I would like to show 2 columns. In that way, you can't do with the tables. You can't do with the tables. That is the problem with what? So tables. That means what is the problem, guys? To build responsive websites. Okay, we can't customize the TD, nothing but columns of a table tag. That is the problem. Understood? Okay, so that's the reason, right? We're going to use the which tag, guys? Alternative for
Div.
this problem or solution for this problem, what? Div tag. Is div tag. Understood? Is div tag. What is this div tag? Okay, how it going to work? Okay, that part we'll see on a tomorrow. What is a div tag and what is importance of div tag? Some brief about the CSS. Okay, what is a CSS? That is also we're going to see tomorrow. Okay, so and we have an alternative for div tag also. When it comes to HTML5, right, we have a section, asset, figure, a lot of stuff. Okay, so what is all about that? That is also we're going to discuss. Okay, but in short, right, so remember we're going to discuss everything with in detail and real time oriented. Okay, so we'll discuss so 30 sessions for a React JS and more of a in detail of a JavaScript. It would be more than a 20 hours on what? JavaScript. So HTML we're going to discuss so 10 to 15 hours, and as well as, right, we have the Saturday Sunday sessions, right? So in those sessions we will discuss with other use cases. Okay, any questions?
No, sir.
Yep. So please join in that WhatsApp group to get a latest update of us. Okay, as well as so you can complete your registration. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Are we good, guys? Any questions?
Sir, this
Yeah,
UI, UX and front ends are same because
UI?
UI, UX and this front end, these all are different things, no, sir?
Yes, all are different one. I'll give some glimpse. Anyone has other questions, guys?
Hello.
Yes, Nutan.
Sir, when giving we path of images, dot slash is important or not?
This dot, right, which you're talking about.
Dot slash is
Yes, dot
important.
slash. So this is required. Okay, so so why I'm using here, no, like this. Of course, without using this, that one also you can try to execute. But the problem here, right? So you'll deploy your code into server, right? Then they will get a problems. Okay, and
Yes.
one more thing. So dot slash meaning the current path where you are at present, right? So that is what meant as dot slash. Okay, that's the reason it's required.
Yes.
Cool. Right. To give you some glimpse, right? So UX and UI. So very simple. To develop up any website, first of all, right, we need a designs. What is that? Designs of a web application. Okay, what does mean of a design? Let's say if you go with a Flipkart, okay. So how it need to be look and feel? Okay, how the icon supposed to be? What are the font sizes? What are the colors? Okay, what are the button sizes? Everything you supposed to get it from some people. Okay, or some developers, right? There are a couple of people. Those people we call it as UX designers. Okay, what are those? UX, user experience. What we call user experience. It can be designers or developers. Okay, their skills will get vary. Okay, they might use Figma or Adobe XD. Okay, or InVision. There are a couple of apps which they usually use. When it comes to UI, right, they'll develop the application. What they'll do, they'll develop application. So these guys will use a different technology. They'll use the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or Angular, or React.js, different stuff. So that is the difference between UI and UX. So we comes under UI developer, not into UX. And probability of getting a job, right, is more for UI, because so UX people will give a designs, and the designs need to be coded and designs need to be developed. Okay, so the probability of for one application, right? So only one designer or two designers, but developer would be many. Okay, once they're done the designs, right, they'll move to another project, but your project would be remains until it goes to the live. So the lifespan of a UI developer role also is high. Okay, any other questions?
Will you teach for one class about this UX, what types of tool they are using, so that we also get knowledge about this UX? If someone asks in interview, then we can reply.
See, probably, right, when you go for a UI, they won't ask you. Okay, because you specifically go for a UI, right? That's the reason. But if you want, I can help you, because I worked with more of a UX designers and how they design, what are the tools they use it. No, we can. Okay, being it is a more interactive session, guys. So I can help you if you have any other questions. As Tushar asked, yes, I'll take a session, okay, separately on UX and UI and what is a full stack, what is front end developer, what is your roles and responsibilities, what tools you need to use. Okay, so everything we can discuss.
Sir, I heard that front end will develop the code using this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but UI only develop the layout. So
What does mean of a layout?
layouts mean graphic design through
No,
Photoshop or
no,
something.
no, 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 no. So it's vary from again from a company to company, but primarily UX is meant for only designing, UI for development, front end developer again, right? So let's say you are working for app, you also need to do. Okay, so let's say when you do a hybrid application, right, by using a Cordova, by using Ionic, so front end developer responsibility is that to make that one also. Okay, so that's how the roles will get changed. But UX designer role is what purely that. But if you go to the startup company, if I say, okay, I'm hired for only UI, I do only UI. No, not like that. Okay, so in a startup companies or specific couple of companies, right? So you supposed to be work for everything. Okay, if you get a chance, that's good, because you're going to learn a lot of stuff.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other questions, guys? Yep. So feel free if you have any questions and reach out to our admin team or join in that WhatsApp group. Okay, register yourself, and if you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to discuss brief about what is the div tag and how to apply styles. That is we're going to discuss. Okay, so that's all for today, guys. See you on tomorrow.